It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
Anda.
.06 the time. It's a Tuesday, and I just realized Tuesday is the one day I don't have something special to say. I'll explain. Hang on.
The show is sponsored by Roadkill Frozen Dinners. Just as fresh as when you creamed them with your truck the first time. And now with armadillo bites.
Wow. Now with armadillo bites. I just realized. Well, okay, hang on. I'll explain.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
Okay, so on Mondays, I say, it's Monday. Rinse and repeat. Yeah, this first day of the week, we're doing what we did last week, so there you go. On Wednesday, I say, over the hump we go. On Thursday, I say, I can see the weekend from here. On Friday, I say, glad you made it. The only day, and I just suddenly realized I've been doing this for how long now? How many decades? And I suddenly realized I don't have anything for Tuesday. Yeah, I'll come up with something. Okay. And Tuesday is sort of like the forgotten day. But, all right. Tuesday, it's not Monday? All right, so I'll figure out something anyway to make it interesting. All right, let me get this out of the way, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. So President Biden said he wants to make some changes to the Supreme Court. You heard about that. And what he would have to do would be a constitutional amendment to the Supreme Court. Term limits would be one thing. Also make some changes so a president doesn't have immunity, but he misrepresents what presidential immunity is. And he better watch it, because if he gets what he wants as far as presidential immunity, not having it, that means people can come after him for all sorts of garbage that he did while he was president. So he's completely misrepresenting what presidential immunity is, term limits, and a few other things that he would like for Supreme Court justices. Term limit, I think, for Supreme Court would be 18 years, which, by the way, Biden has been in public office. Are we like on 50 years now? I think it is. It's been in the 70s is when he took office as a senator, and has been in office ever since then. So what about a term limit for him if he's thinking about this? All right. So a lot was said as soon as Biden announced that. It was all over the news, and talk television these days, they're not news television stations as they used to be, as I've said before, Fox, CNN, MSNBC. If you walk by a television yesterday, that's all they were talking about, bringing on all sorts of legal experts and political pundits and on it went. It comes down to this. Biden knows he can't get it done. Biden's team knows they can't get it done. It's dead on arrival, because in order to do this, he would have to pass a constitutional amendment to make these changes. And he simply does not have the vote in the House and Senate to get any of this done, so it's not going to happen. And he knows this. So what's the point of all of this? Well, let's try to find something to attack Trump over. Now, when it comes to Supreme Court rulings, many Supreme Court rulings that made Democrats really mad were 9-0 decisions. So when they talk about this conservative court that Trump has installed, they fail to mention, and I think intentionally, fail to mention that there's some very liberal justices that also voted against Democrats on some things. So it's not all been just the conservatives that voted for and outvoted the liberals. There's been a few cases like that, but in many cases it's been 9-0 decisions. Once again, that's something that's been misrepresented to you. So they want to go after Trump for the Supreme Court, but also because Trump has had a lot of cases cleared by courts, and that's one of the ways that Democrats have been trying to get Trump out of the race altogether is going through the court system. Well, of course, then they can attack him in the arena of public opinion by saying he has skewed the courts and he's guilty of all of these things, but he has presidential immunity. You see what I'm doing here? Trying to, once again, smear Trump's reputation, make him look like the bad guy, the crazy guy. Okay, so that's a strategy that can be employed by the Democrats, especially Harris, now that she seems to be their frontrunner. Even though they haven't had their convention yet, it looks like it's going to be her. So that's something Harris will use. And right now, Trump has to run against two people. Biden is still in office, and Biden is still going after Trump. And Harris is going after Trump. So now Trump has to take on two different opponents, and he will, right? But during the course of this fight, this whole Supreme Court issue is just one more thing to try to do damage to Trump. Well, he got a presidential immunity for crimes that you and I would have gone to jail for. And again, they're misrepresenting what presidential immunity is all about and why not just Trump, but even Biden and every president before them has had it, because it's what our founding fathers put in place for a very good reason. Having said all of that, don't worry about it. Other than them trying to do political damage to Trump through this, don't worry about it as far as changing the Supreme Court, because everything that Biden just said is dead on arrival. The reason that your talk show hosts on radio and talk television, your former news stations, have picked this up, and other news organizations, opinion columns, and former newspapers and so on have all picked this up, is because they need something fresh to talk about. The other issues have been getting kind of stale, so they have to have something fresh. All they really needed to do is say what I just said and move on to the next issue, which I'm going to do in the next segment. But your news organizations needed something fresh to fill all of that time and to fill all of that internet space too. So they picked this up and just ran with it, and dear God, they're just not letting it go. Even this morning when I get here and I'm looking at not just news websites that I scan every single morning to find out what to talk to you guys about, what's going on out there, but listening to news top of the hour, Fox News is what the radio stations that carry this program will carry Fox News. And I'm listening to that at the top of the hour, and they all led with that as their lead story. And I'm looking at it thinking, there's other stuff going on in the world, guys. There's a lot of other stuff going on in the world. Why are you so fixated on this? Because it's the latest thing to get fixated on, because they have a 24-hour news cycle to fill, and they can't think of what else to do. So this is what they're doing. There. Now you know everything that you need to know about this issue. It's dead on arrival. It's just another political attack against Trump, and there you go. Now we can move on with the rest of our lives. I'm going to play something in the next segment that I played yesterday, but I want to make sure you early risers hear this, because it's one of those things where I get to do a lot of damage to news media outlets. They have not connected the dots in their own reporting. So I'm going to connect the dots for them and make them look really bad.
Aliens are going to be super confused when they show up threatening to overthrow our leaders, and we're all stoked and offer to help.
Now, Glenn Woods fits in your pocket with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030, K2 Radio.
And advocating to empower families like Ken's.
I wouldn't be living as good of a life with ALS if it wasn't for MDA. MDA is helping people live stronger and love longer. Learn more at mda.org today.
6:22 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. All right, I had a lot of fun doing this yesterday, so I wanted to make sure that people who got up early in the morning could get a chance to hear this too. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in the end times, just in case you know.
So put on your respirator and let's fix that generator. And while we're out, we'll mend our fences too. See, I'm not afraid of dying, just got reasons for surviving. I want one more day in the apocalypse with you.
What I have here is a collection of newspaper headlines, or if we can call them newspapers anymore, news headlines from all over America, but also all over the globe. And the problem is they all want, wherever they are, to be the hottest place on Earth because, global warming, climate change. But they all can't be the hottest place on Earth. One place has to be the hottest place. They can't all be. So let's take a look at some of these headlines that are out here. Let's see. Headline from a Mexican newspaper. Mexico is warming faster than the rest of the planet, they say, whoever they are. Well, okay. Then, further south now, Latin America and the Caribbean are warming faster than the global average. So there's a competition between the Caribbean and Mexico, and the rest of Latin America. But hang on now, because it's not just them. The Arctic is not going to be left undone here. This headline reads, the Arctic has warmed nearly 4 times faster than the rest of the globe since 1979. Oh, so the Arctic really wants to be in front of everybody else on that one. But, okay, hang on. Asia wants to be number one. All of Asia. Asia is warming, the headline says, faster than the global average. Okay, so you can't outdo Asia. I mean, that's all of Asia, right? Oh, no, let's have none of it. Africa is now challenging all of Asia. All of Africa is now challenging all of Asia. Wait, from an African newspaper. Africa is warming faster than the rest of the world, according to an IPCC 6th assessment report. Well, that's an entire continent, right? Fortune magazine. See, we can't be left out here. The U.S. is warming 60% faster than the rest of the world is, according to a national climate assessment. Don't forget now, the science is settled. The debate is over on all of this. But Europe cannot be left out. Don't you dare tell Europe that they're not warming faster than everybody else. Because here's a headline that says, Europe warming almost twice as fast as the global average according to the report. Okay, so it's Europe now. Russia will not be left out. Russia's a big country, covers a lot of territory. Borderline with China, borderline with Europe. Russia's climate, this is from Newsweek magazine, by the way. Russia's climate is heating up faster than the rest of the world. Oh, so Russia's number one here. Okay. But way down under, Australia is just mad as hell. Because this Australian news headline says Australia is warming faster than the global average. Well, you're not going to let, they have to be, obviously. Australia's mostly desert. I mean, China, not to be undone. China is warming faster than the rest of the world, according to a Times report from Hindustan, I think is the name of it. I think it says Hindustan Times as well. Okay. All right, here's another headline. Now, the little nation of Finland feels so left out. Headline, Finland is warming faster than the rest of the world. That's what the headline says here. All right, now, at this point, you think that Canada is feeling really insulted because no one has mentioned Canada. Fear not. From Global News, Canada is warming 2 times faster than the rest of the world. Wow. Okay. So, wait. From CBC News, which is a Canadian broadcast center. Canada is getting warmer faster than the rest of the world. Why is that? Okay, so there's another Canadian headline for you. Canada was so upset by all of this, Canada got 2 headlines out of it. This is where these news organizations from all over the globe, I guess maybe they don't know what the other news organizations have written, or they do know, but we're hoping we're not going to notice. Now, only one place can be warming faster than the rest of the world. It can't be everybody. So which is it? And you wonder why I have trust issues. Now, to Jim's question. When I say all you early risers, he asked, do you laugh uncontrollably in the back of your mind and say amateurs? Yes, I do. Yeah. Because I usually get up about 1:30 a.m.-ish. I get here before 2 o'clock. I tell you what really confused me, Jim. This happens a lot. I'll walk into, after I leave here, sometimes I take myself to a little place for lunch before I go home. Just something quick. And as I'm ordering lunch, the girl behind the counter will look at me and say, good morning. And it totally confuses me. Morning to her, anyway. Late afternoon to me. Coming up on some local business we have to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. National local update on the weather forecast. You and I get back into it again. 888-97 Woods the phone number. That's 888-97 WOODS. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Local and mobile across Wyoming and beyond with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
6:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Okay, great headline by Cowboy State Daily. Friend says naked man. That got your attention right there. Friend says naked man passed out in a stranger's home. He's usually a pretty good guy. And the mugshot of him, he has the expression on his face like, whoops. So, okay. A man found passed out naked and surrounded by wreckage in a stranger's home in Alpine, Wyoming, now faces burglary and theft charges in the Lincoln County District Court. Here's his name. He's 25 years old, charged with felony burglary, theft, and property destruction, each punishable by up to 10 years in prison and a misdemeanor count of marijuana possession, which rose to a felony level in district court last week. Okay. Court documents say the homeowner in Alpine, Wyoming, came home at about 8 p.m., June 23rd, to find this guy whose name is Dorby Coons. So it sounds like a country name, right? This is a country song just waiting to happen. A complete stranger passed out on the homeowner's recliner. Now that's really disturbing. If you have a naked stranger asleep in your recliner, it's time to get a new recliner. No, you can't go ahead and you get a cleaner or buy some fabric cleaner for that, or you can't. There's no professional cleaner because you will always have in your mind that there was some butt-naked stranger passed out in that chair, and you'll never be able to sit down there again. Doesn't matter how well you clean it. You can't. So you're going to have to get rid of the whole recliner and just buy a new one. In fact, I would suggest take the recliner out back, go get some gloves. I mean, some, like surgical gloves, stuff like that, with some friends all wearing surgical gear, hazmat suit to be nice. Take it out back and set it on fire. Then buy yourself a new recliner. You've been wanting one anyway. The man's home was trashed. The man told law enforcement he was reported a problem. A friend who was concerned about this missing guy during the incident told Cowboy State Daily, he's a good guy, but has some mental health problems. Do you think? Gosh, what was your first clue? Now, look, if the house had not been trashed, if the guy had just walked into what he thought was his home, but it was somebody else's, and had just passed out, no harm done. But he burgled some things, there was stuff broken and missing and so on. His friend says, I don't know why he decided to do this. I really don't know why. I just know that he's a pretty good guy outside of this situation. So other friends were hanging out that evening when the drunk guy disappeared. Came back with some valuables and another friend at the hangout. I don't know where they hang out, but okay. And then they told him, take the valuables back to the house. That's when he messed everything up. He wanted a cigarette and ran back to the other house, which was the most attractive house in the area, and decided to go from there. But they didn't make it because at some point he becomes just unconscious. Sometime after he passed out, homeowners found him in the recliner, called law enforcement, and waited their arrival. And I would bet, and waited outside with their guns until police arrived. So in other words, they're not going to stay in the house and try to be quiet. They just picked up their guns and left and went outside and waited for police to arrive. Good plan. The police officer peeked inside the window, looking at the man laying there nude, identified him. So, so the police know who this guy is. They've dealt with him before, huh? Now, Cheesehead in Judah wants to know, where was he keeping his pot? I don't want to know the answer to that. McGee reported that he was wearing 2 watches. So he wasn't completely naked. He was wearing 2 watches, one gold and one white on one of his hands. These belong to the homeowners. So you see, this is where, and they were broken items and stuff like that. The ambulance arrived and took him to a medical center so he can be cleared to go to jail. And then this is where the whole investigation started. The man later identified was, someone showed up to check to see if his friend was okay. So in other words, he does have good friends that are at least vouching for him and were concerned about him. So to his good friends, I would say, don't let your buddy drink anymore unless you're going to keep him under lock and key. Yes, you can sit and drink with us, but you're not allowed to leave. We're not going to let you leave. You can only drink here and pass out here. And you have to keep your clothes on, by the way. So if you're in the Alpine area and you see a ad in the classified for a slightly used recliner, don't buy it. Don't even pick it up if it's free. Some naked guy, a stranger, was passed out there, and you just don't want that. Let's wake up.
Listen to Glenn Woods anywhere you roam with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
6:48 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the icebox. Frank Gambino waiting by. So I got to get Frank in the story real quick, folks. I'm not going to tell the whole story all over again. So, Frank, we're going to go to Alpine, Wyoming, right?
I know where it's at.
Yes, and a guy who's got some really good friends. But his friends admit, while he's a really great guy, he's got a few issues.
Okay.
So he has this really good friend, really great guy, has too much to drink, and apparently some marijuana was involved.
Ooh.
So some guy in a very nice home in Alpine comes home with his family to find a naked guy passed out in a recliner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they knew the guy?
No.
No, they did not know
No, they
the
did
guy.
not know the guy. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they called the cops and first off, they quietly went outside, taking their guns with them, and waited outside while the cops showed up. Okay. Now, my entire argument to this whole thing, because I went through the whole story with everybody else, but if you got home and there's a naked stranger in your favorite recliner, my thought is, you're just going to have to burn the recliner and buy a new one.
Yeah, because he's all stinky and stuff.
And there's
and say, one, wake him up.
Yes.
Get out of my house.
Well, now, as far as the recliner goes, you can go ahead and buy shampoos for that. But, come on. You can have professional cleaners show up. But you will always know that there was some naked stranger.
Yeah, you couldn't do that. Yeah.
Passed out in that recliner.
So going right to the dump. Matter of fact, when you kick the guy out of the house, take the recliner with you.
Yeah. So I would say go ahead and tie a rope to the recliner and drag it outside. You don't want to touch it.
No.
Go ahead and pour some gasoline on it and just light the thing. Then go. You've been wanting a new recliner anyway, Frank.
Maybe your insurance will pay for it.
Yes. So if anyone asks you, so what made you finally go get a new recliner? The naked stranger who was passed out drunk in it when I got home is what I think that'd probably be the best excuse ever for needing a new recliner.
So what about the guy?
No, well, the police arrested him. The mug shots, he is looking really innocent and embarrassed about the whole thing. And there's multiple charges because there's damage to the house. He had taken a couple of things. I mean, he was doing a lot while drunk. He didn't just go in and pass out.
But he sat in the guy's favorite recliner.
That to me is
ruined it.
You can go ahead and break into my house and do damage and steal stuff. Stay out of my recliner, especially if you're going to get naked, okay?
All righty. The State AA American Legion Baseball Tournament moves along in Casper today. In yesterday's first round, Sheridan defeated Laramie 3-1. Cheyenne Sixers over Rock Springs 14-4. Gillette over the Cheyenne Hawks 9-2. And Casper defeated Jackson 12-2. So in a loser-out game this morning, Laramie will take on Rock Springs at 10 a.m. Cheyenne Hawks will meet Jackson at 1 in another loser-out game. Sheridan and the Cheyenne Sixers at 4 in the winner's bracket. And Casper will take on the Gillette Rough Riders at 7 p.m., also win the winner's bracket. And the AA All-State team was announced yesterday. Trey Behrens and Saxton Smith from Casper made first-team All-State in AA Legion Baseball. Braden Pearson, Hayden Swain, Mason Tafoya, and Corey Williams from the Cheyenne Sixers, also All-State. Brandon Chavez and Ben Malone from Laramie, also an All-State selection. And Brad Barker from the Cheyenne Hawks was named the AA Manager of the Year. The State A American Legion Tournament moves along today in Powell. In yesterday's action, Casper over Torrington 10-5, so Torrington was eliminated. Lovell over Evanston 9-5, so Evanston was eliminated. Powell crushed Cody 17-2 in the winner's bracket yesterday, so today Lovell will take on Cody at 1 p.m., and then Powell will take on Casper at 4 p.m. The championship games will be tomorrow up in Powell. The Casper Wildcatters American Legion B team won the state championship. They defeated Powell 12-6, and that tournament was held in Torrington. In football, John Elway, the former all-pro quarterback for the Denver Broncos and ended up being their team president for 10 years, had a podcast interview with the Barstool Sports podcast, and he finally admitted, which everyone knew, is that his biggest mistake was not drafting quarterback Josh Allen out of Wyoming back in 2018. Remember, the Broncos had the 5th pick in that draft, and Elway had watched Allen play in the Boise Bowl game in person. And then he ended up taking Bradley Chubb, a linebacker out of North Carolina State, with that number 1 pick. And then eventually he was traded to Miami. And you see the results now. Josh Allen's in a pretty good spot with the Buffalo Bills, very productive. And the Broncos just plain are terrible. And then on top of that, Elway drafted Paxton Lynch, a quarterback out of Memphis in 2016, which was a bust. So you wonder why this team has no playoff appearances since 2015 and 13 quarterbacks since Peyton Manning retired. It's because of John Elway.
He doesn't know how to pick people.
Terrible.
Horrible at picking people. Okay.
Terrible. How could you pass on, and this is people have said for years, but you wonder why the Broncos are in a terrible position they are in today, because he did not draft Josh Allen when he had the chance.
So we can blame it all on one guy.
One guy, John Elway.
Fine, John Elway. All right.
There's actually more, but he's the main one. Yeah.
It's a lot easier for everybody. There's less confusion if we can blame it on one guy.
No, you like to spread blame around.
You like to spread it around?
You need some of that sandwich too.
It's all right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Six of the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. It's a Tuesday. I've got a little bit of a problem with Tuesday. I'm going to explain and I ask for your help, but hang on.
Today's show is sponsored by Roadkill Frozen Dinners. Just as fresh as when you creamed them with your truck the first time. And now with armadillo bites.
Love those armadillo bites. Okay, so here's a question I asked first hour of the program. I'm just going to toss it out there. You guys can help me on this. Mondays, I always start by saying it's Monday. Rinse and repeat. Yeah, okay, well, it's rinse and repeat because we're back at work and we're doing it again, right? On Wednesdays, I say it's Wednesday, over the hump we go. On Thursday, I say it's Thursday, I can see the weekend from here. On Friday, it's Friday, glad you made it. But I don't have anything for Tuesday. And it just suddenly struck me this morning. I've been doing this for decades, and I've never had one for Tuesday. Tuesday's just left out. So if you can figure out what I should do for Tuesdays, let me know. I'll add it to the list. I'll consider it, okay? All right. Hey, Denver, you're up on this one. Down to Denver, Colorado, where housing costs are driving out low-income families. Now, I'm going to read this, but then I have a question. It's a really good question, too. The city of Denver, the story says that the lowest income residents they have are leaving the city due to the high cost of housing. While evictions were up 61% on average in 2023 compared to the average of the previous 15 years, and businesses are reporting they are unable to attract and retain employees. And the reason they're unable to attract and retain employees is because, well, we can pay to take the job, but it's not going to be enough to live here. Here, once again, we're having a problem with a bit of an exodus. But hang on, I haven't gotten to the question yet. The report on the city's evictions and exodus of low-income residents was in a report on July 24th in the city's Safety, Housing, and Education Homelessness Committee, which, by the way, that's a committee that really has done no good for anybody at all. It's a committee on safety in Denver. Safety. How's that working? Housing, which apparently that's a problem. Education, their schools are a problem. And homelessness, which is out of control. So this committee that they have, I understand, let's get a committee together to try to solve these problems, but they're not solving these problems. The city has proposed an increase in the sale and use tax of 0.5% by 5 cents on a 10-cent purchase, which would generate $100 million a year, according to committee documents. Over a span of 15 years, the average a little over 8,000 evictions a year. In 2013, there were 12,900 evictions. Wow. Holy cow, that's a lot. And the city pointed to housing costs that are driving out low-income residents, according to the city's median monthly rent increase from $1,049 median rent in 2000 to $1,870 in 2022 when adjusted for inflation. That's a 78% increase over a 22-year period. Now, from 2010 to 2019, 10,595 low-income households left the city. And they just can't afford to live there. The housing costs are the main reason for homelessness, they say. Quote, Denver cannot be a vibrant, and here is where they have to throw their buzzwords in. Denver cannot be a vibrant, inclusive city without ensuring that teachers, nurses, first responders, and seniors can continue to call Denver home. There's a tremendous shortage of affordable homes for longtime residents and new residents alike. The shortage will only grow if we don't take action now. And so the problem is they ran into problems because the local government was taking action. But all right. The Affordable Denver Fund provides a clear path to meet Denver's affordability need and establish a community where anyone can build a vibrant life here, and so on and so on and so on. They go with all the rhetoric, rather than really dealing the problem, which would be government, but I'll get into that. The Affordable Denver Fund Safety Committee reported that 50% of Denver renter households were housing burdened, as they called it. This includes 80% of the earnings, those earning less than $75,000 a year. This is where I've heard people say, well, I've been asked quite a few times, how come I don't work in some place like Denver? And my answer was, well, if I went to Denver to do this show, I would be making quite a bit more money. But the cost of living between the city, the county, and the state, plus they have a state income tax, et cetera, would I be earning more money, really? No. The cost of housing, this is a quote, is one of the most significant issues facing Denver today. In fact, new polling shows 90% of residents see the cost of housing as a significant concern. The mayor is committed to acting with urgency. Oh, God, that's going to make things worse. To address the issue at a scale it deserves, and has been working round the clock with 5 city council sponsors to ensure the ballot measure directly addresses the city's affordable housing needs. So once again, let's get government in there to try to fix these problems. In the meantime, how is that illegal immigrant population doing? Well, they declared themselves a sanctuary city and said if these people come here, if people come here to this country, they call them migrants, but you and I understand them as illegal immigrants. We'll go ahead and do what we can to take care of them. So you'll go ahead and take care of those people. Maybe you shouldn't bother with that. How about, first and foremost, don't be a sanctuary city. Start with that. Don't be a sanctuary city. Okay. I'll say then the same thing that I say to Jackson, Wyoming, which has a problem with affordable housing for workers that are there. Jackson's having the same exact problem. You're not going to solve that with some government program. For the mayor to step up and say, well, we and the city council are going to formulate some plan. This is the free market at work here. Let the free market handle this. And quit trying to solve it through all sorts of government programs, because that just makes it work. Rent control makes it worse. And that's been shown in city after city that's tried rent control. That just makes things a whole lot worse. All right. Let the market figure it out. Especially even in places like Jackson Hole, Wyoming, there are employees that are now able to live in Jackson Hole because their employers needed them, and their employers figured out a way to make sure that they had a place to live. So you don't solve this problem through government's going to get in there and try to fix it. You wound up in this problem because government tried to fix it, and government continued to make it worse. They don't know what they're doing. Just like this committee they had that was supposed to solve all of these problems, safety, education, housing, and all of those things, homelessness. That's what that committee does, and all of those things are out of control. So how's that committee doing? So if that's obviously not working, stop doing that. You need to find a different solution. All right, now, I had asked Beth, okay, several people are answering the question here. All right, let me get to this real quick. I had asked the question, when I start the show on Monday, I always say it's Monday, rinse and repeat. All right, okay, because it's Monday, we're starting again. Wednesday, over the hump we go. I say that every Wednesday. Thursday, I can see the weekend from here. And Friday, I'm glad you make it. But I had nothing for Tuesday, and I never have in all of these many, many years of doing radio. Beth, morning, Beth. Glenn, Tuesday could be so glad it's not Monday. Yeah, that's what we say at work. Shorty in Casper says Tuesday, second Monday of the week. Okay. Also, Jim in Laramie, why not just it's Taco Tuesday? Kind of like the Taco Tuesday thing.
The following is a paid political announcement from Colorado grassroots Democrats.
All right, so like candidates are flip-flopping and stuff, and I don't know, man. It's cool, you know. Some people are flipping, some people are flopping. You know, why can't we just flip-flop together, you know? I mean, flip-flops are comfortable and you know, they let your stinky feet breathe, but it's not good when there's snow because your feet get cold. Man, I wish Colorado was in Florida, because then I could wear flip-flops all the time.
Colorado grassroots Democrats reminding you that you were supposed to show up somewhere on Election Day. If you remember that you were supposed to be doing something or whatever.
What was the question again?
You asked for an expert. We didn't have the budget for that. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Weekdays 6 to 10 a.m. and 24/7 on the Wake Up Wyoming app.
And manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
7:22 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. All right, so let's talk Wyoming coal for just a minute. Wyoming coal, once again, has taken a bit of a hit. Now, I don't think that is a long-term thing because in the very long run, we're going to need legacy fuels, coal, gas, and oil. They can try to push us all they want into alternative energies, but when it gets right down to it, we're going to need coal, gas, and oil. So in the long run, and also worldwide, we're using more coal and other petroleum and so on than ever before, not less. In America, we've been using less, but worldwide, we're using more than ever before, which is surprising to a lot of people. But no, that carbon footprint, as they call it, is not getting smaller. It's getting much bigger, which is a good thing for the planet. But all right, here's a story. Again, Cowboy State Daily, Wyoming budget could take a big hit with coal production down 25%. So this story is specifically about the Wyoming budget for the state. Now, I remember when I first got to Wyoming, which I realize now is like 16 years ago. That's been a while. Wyoming was kind of riding high. Energy production was, just doing great. And because of that, money was rolling into the state coffers. And also cities and counties were making all sorts of money. So all government groups, city, county, state government, they were all spending a lot of money. And I remember saying at the time, guys, don't do this. I might be new to Wyoming, I said at the time, but we all know the boom, bust cycle, right? That's boom, bust is where we've been since Wyoming's been a state, maybe before, I could say. So don't go out there spending a whole bunch of money. Have you not learned the lesson yet? When we hit the next bust, now we're going to be on the hook for all these things that you guys purchased and built, and you're not going to have the money to maintain it. Now, you're going to do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way would be realize now we've got to cut way back on what government does at every level in Wyoming. Or we go broke, and we're going to have to cut way back the hard way. So how do you want to do this? Well, of course, nobody was listening at the time. Even city government was in Gillette at the time. They were not listening. Oh, they were determined. We got to go ahead and spend. And they had big spending plans. And then the bust happens. Well, when do you guys learn this lesson? You've been through it so many times. All right. Well, in the past, a couple of downturns we've had, the state of Wyoming did the right thing after the downturn happened and started cutting back. But even then, they had to learn the hard way. Governor Matt Mead made a bunch of cuts to the budget, which I was happy to see, and then said, I don't see where else to cut. My answer at the time was, well, Governor, you're not going to be happy with me, but give me that budget and a red marker, and I'll start showing you where to cut. You're not going to like me at all when I'm done. But let's really focus on serious cuts. Now, Governor Gordon, to his credit, along with the House and Senate, has made even more cuts, and pretty substantial ones, and I'm happy to see that. Smaller government is good. But we still do things like, well, they want to spend $10 million on a shooting complex. Things like this have got to stop. So they're still spending way too much money. So here's this coal production down 25%, and the subtitle, Wyoming revenue collection is ahead of forecast. That's good. But a free-falling state coal industry could change that quickly. A new state budget report warns the impact of a 25% drop in coal production for the first half of 2024. If that happens, now I'm one of those who's against the idea of the shooting range in Wyoming. That's $10 million that should be spent by the private sector, not by government. I would love the House and Senate to go, we're not going to be able to afford it, and chop that, among other things. Story says Wyoming's budget challenges ahead, which is government speak for saying the state could be facing financial trouble if its legacy coal industry is down 25% for the first 6 months of the year. Revenue collection for the state of Wyoming is pacing ahead of earlier forecasts by 3.8%, but a challenge energy sector could quickly change that. Worse, the surplus could disappear as mineral revenue receipts trickle in, warns a new report released on Monday. So at the heart of the revenue report is growing nervousness over the state's energy sector, which they should be nervous about. Now, if we have a change of administration in this next election, and I know Trump supporters out there screaming, yeah, okay, but we have a change in administration, especially a change in Congress along with the administration, then major changes could be made and we can start energy production again, get it back to where it should be, not just here in America, but start participating in that worldwide market, even shipping out coal, because the world is coal hungry right now. Again, we're using more coal, gas, and oil, legacy energy, than ever before worldwide. And we can take part in that and make some good money off of this. That doesn't happen, though, then the state of Wyoming is going to have to start looking for more places to cut. When I mention the shooting range, I'm pointing that out because that's a luxury item. And we can't afford luxury items at that point. Can't do it. I would also say don't do it anyway, because if they build this thing, then we go through boom, bust, then here comes the next bust. Now we're on the hook for something that's probably losing money, as it usually does. So, all right. So the state of Wyoming House and Senate governor need to start looking at these numbers and seriously considering what they need to do to make government as lean as possible. All of these wonderful ideas they have, guys, let's just put it away and think seriously about what is the private sector supposed to do, what is government supposed to do, because I'm not opposed to things like a shooting range. And that's not our only problem, by the way. I'm just picking on that one in the forefront, but that's not the only problem. But those things should be done by private sector and let them deal with it, not the taxpayers. Don't put the government on the hook for this, especially because government is not really good with money in the first place. Coming up on local news and weather forecast. Wake Up Wyoming.
I'm so happy to be here, yeah. I'm just happy to be here. Still I know the world's on fire, the situation's dire. A lot of work and courage gonna be required, but
here is the latest from K2 Radio News.
On Sunday afternoon, there was a wildfire in Natrona County on Pine Mountain. Local agencies, including the Natrona County Fire District, Mills Fire Department, Casper Mountain Fire, and the BLM, and 2 seaplanes based out of Casper International Airport, all responded and assisted with the incident. They actually worked through the night on Sunday into Monday morning to put the fire 100% out. It was contained at 1.5 acres. We do have photos of the fire when it was active and the aftermath at K2Radio.com. Wyoming Governor Mark Gordon stopped by the Town Square Media Casper building yesterday to talk about primary election misinformation. And this is concerning some of the political mail people have been receiving, maybe text messages and things like that. Sometimes things that often they didn't even sign up for.
You know, it's an amazing thing. I find Wyoming values are not being upheld by groups from out of state that are sending misinformation in. I've heard from so many people how they're just disgusted and fed up with all the stuff they're getting in their boxes. In Wyoming, we care a lot about our fair and clean elections, and it's about a lot more than what happens on August 20th, our primary day. They're about honesty, integrity, and transparency. Wyoming voters want to see a clean election where people talk about the issues, not about stuff that's developed somewhere out of state.
In other news, a 40-year-old Wyoming man is facing a felony charge after allegedly pulling a gun on his mother. According to a police booking sheet, authorities were called to a Cheyenne residence for a report of domestic assault with a firearm. Police say the back door was already open when they arrived on scene, but no one was inside the home. The police contacted the reporting party and victim, who told them that she and her son, later identified as James Joseph Wirtz, had gotten into an argument during which he pulled a silver handgun and pointed it at her, and then Wirtz reportedly ran from the home. He was arrested at 10:50 p.m. after police were driving around the area and spotted him at the intersection of House Avenue and East 6th Street. He was taken to the Laramie County Detention Center, where he was booked without further incident and subsequently charged. Aggravated assault and battery with a deadly weapon is a felony punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Wirtz made his initial appearance in Laramie County Circuit Court on July 26th. His bond is set at $7,500 cash, and a preliminary hearing is scheduled for August 2nd at 9:45 a.m. Remember, all suspects are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Special Olympics Wyoming is hosting the Summer Sports Classic in Casper on August 2nd and 3rd. Spectators are always welcome, and they could definitely use more volunteers. If you would like to sign up to do so, please call their office, or we do have a link at our website in the article as well. Reporting from Casper, this is Colby Fido.
There's no need to go anywhere else for fishing gear. Rocky Mountain Discount Sports has the best selection in Casper, plus there's always live bait in stock. Thank you for shopping your Wyoming-owned and operated Rocky Mountain Discount Sports. Hot and hazy. Temperatures upper 80s to near 90, lows tonight 50s. Cooler, mid-80s Wednesday, back to near 90 or better Thursday and Friday. Through Friday, dry, still very warm for the weekend with isolated thunderstorms. I'm meteorologist Don Day.
Where Wyoming comes to talk. This is Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Be part of the show at 888-97-WOODS.
7:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. All right, 888-97-WOODS, the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. Since I was talking about energy, Vice President Harris says if she's president, she's doing a 180 on fracking, says she won't ban it. Now, Trump's not buying that. Of course, here's where she has a bit of a problem. She is very anti-energy, especially when it comes to the legacy energies, coal, gas, and oil. Very anti-energy. And so has been very much on the side of what they call the green movements, right? I mean, hardcore, big time. So for her to turn and say, oh, I won't ban fracking. Who was she in front of when she said that? I mean, dear Lord, no. Who was she in front of when she said that? That's going to really just anger her base, unless she said it and winked. Now, again, Donald Trump is not buying that, and I would understand because she has been especially when she was in California. Boy, she went after oil companies. And as Attorney General and so on, she went after oil companies when she was a prosecutor. I said Attorney General, pardon. When she was a prosecutor. Big time. And so what do you think she'll do as president? Story, Cowboy State Daily says, Vice President Harris, presumptive Democrat presidential candidate, told a national publication that she will not seek to ban fracking if she's elected top executive in government, president. Harris' position not to support a ban on fracking is a reversal from her previous stance on producing energy from organic fuels. An official with the Harris campaign told the nonpartisan newspaper The Hill on Friday. In the last presidential race in 2020, Harris told CNN in an interview that she opposes fracking. Oh, okay. So the last time she ran for president, she was opposed to it, but now she's in favor of it. All right. Quote, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking, Harris said in the interview back then, who was one of several Democrats vying for the 2020 nomination at the time. Since Harris became the party's likely nominee after Biden dropped out of the race, Republicans, including former President Donald Trump, have highlighted her position from years ago, saying she wants no fracking and has been opposed to it, as she has been vice president of the United States as well. So this goes back to, what do you believe when the candidates are speaking? Well, okay, they'll say whatever they need to say at the time, and you know this. They'll say whatever they need to say at the time according to what focus groups want them to say. So at this point, she finds it best to say, oh, I won't stop fracking. She wants to be pro-energy, I guess, in some way. Well, okay. This brings us back to the political lie detector.
We hooked this average politician up to a lie detector so we could discern exactly when he was lying and when he was telling the truth.
Good morning.
Ooh, off to a bad start.
I'm happy to be here.
Really? Can't even tell the truth about that, huh?
Your government is hard at work.
Ooh, not doing well, are we?
We have solved many problems.
Come on, just tell the truth once.
Care about your well-being.
I don't think he has it in him. I'm telling the truth, I mean.
We will take responsible steps.
Come on now, this is for all the money.
Well, we want to solve these problems.
We have faith in you. Well, no, we don't.
Because the last administration...
Ooh, swing and a miss.
I promise I will...
I'm thinking this is not going to end well.
Oh, I promise I will. Come on.
And there you have it, a perfect score.
So this all goes back to how politicians focus group everything before they open up their mouths.
Hi, I'm Gil Fulbright. The people that run my campaign, they've made this commercial, and I'm in it. This campaign, it's not about me. It's about crafting a version of me that'll appeal to you. A version that visits random work sites with paid actors pointing at things. A version of me that doesn't find old people loathsome or pointless. Has a conventionally attractive yet curiously still family. Listening to my constituents, legislating, these are things I don't do. What I do is spend about 70% of my time raising funds for re-election. I'd do anything to stay in office. My name's Gil Fulbright, but hell, I'll change my name to Phil Goldbright or Bill Fulbright or fill up my mouth with farts. These are the things that are important to me. And these are the fine people that finance my campaign. Now, in order to do these things, I have to stay in office. And to stay in office, I have to keep these guys happy. Now, if any of these things make these guys unhappy, well, my hands are tied. So come November, the choice is clear. Do you want another spineless mouthpiece for special interest in lobbyists? Or a spineless mouthpiece for special interest in lobbyists? I'm Philip a Mouth with Farts, and I approve this message.
Hey there, boys and girls, or whoever else you identify as. Welcome to Woke Radio, WOKE.
Woke Radio, WOKE.
Here are some hot tracks for your commute across the basement to the office. Just don't tell Mom. She's upstairs, and she thinks you're looking for a job.
Wake up, Wyoming, with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Got something to say? Chat him on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app or call 888-97-WOODS.
Don Day from Day Weather. So, Don, the good news watching that smoke map this morning, the bulk of it is going up and around us.
The bulk of it, the thickest smoke is at this time of being, you are correct.
Yes. Okay. That's good news for us because my eyes aren't watering as much here. But I guess we're still going to have to put I know this kind of ebb and flow back and forth a little bit over the next few days, right?
Yeah, and the pattern is different than it was a week ago when it was much more thicker and much more dense when it was coming out of Canada. The wind patterns are different. It just the smoke now is coming from areas to our west as opposed to the northwest. And the configuration of the wind pattern this week is going to probably take most of that smoke just to our north and to our east. But your point of it ebbing and flowing, some days will be better than others.
Yeah, okay. And I do notice it doesn't smell like bacon anymore. It smells more like hippies. So it's an entirely different kind of a scent to it. Now, we're still in, for the next few days, though, a dry pattern. And that has, I noticed, good news and bad news. Bad news, dry. Good news is cool nights.
Nights are cool. Days are going to be hot. There's going to be a big difference between those high temperatures and those low temperatures with this dry air. Thunderstorms, there's going to be a few. There'll be a couple up in northern and northeastern Wyoming over the next couple of days, out in the far west. But you can count them on one hand, really. And it's not going to be until this weekend and early next week before we'll start to see them come back our way. If you have to pour concrete, you need to do some painting, those types of outdoor activities, the weather, this is a good opportunity.
Got to go to a concert, bear trap in Casper, Wyoming this weekend. At least we're going to be sitting on the lawn under some trees, stuff like that. Rain, get a little bit more of it next week?
Yeah, especially after Tuesday. That's when some deeper moisture comes our way. So I'm cautiously optimistic we've got some rain coming next week, but not until then.
All right. Thank you, Don. Don Day with Day Weather. Well, and he doesn't, honestly have a whole lot to report right now because we're sort of stuck in this pattern. Off we go to the icebox. Frank Gambino waiting by. Now, Frank, I'm going to try to play this for you. Miss Mary sent it to me, and hopefully you'll be able to hear it nice. Okay. Here we are at the Olympics, and this is Olympic badminton.
Right, yeah, okay.
Okay. And because they brought him in as the big celebrity, I still don't understand it. Snoop Dogg.
He's been doing a lot of stuff with the Olympics anyway.
Yes,
So he was on in the opening ceremony, so you'll see a lot of Snoop Dogg at the Olympics.
So now, normally when you got some kind of an event going on and commentators like you, Frank, you know how to talk about not just what's happening with the game, but the players and the coaches, and there's so much to say. Snoop Dogg, who doesn't know anything about sports, much less professional badminton, so what kind of commentary do you think he's going to give while this is 2-on-2 here, or batting it back and forth?
This is a great rally right here between China and the U.S. right here. As you see it, don't stop to the casket drop. They rocking and rolling, back and forth. Give me that. No, I need that. No, over here. No, over there. What about over there?
Can you hear this?
This is perfect.
I need that too. No, sit down somewhere. Get out. Wait a minute. Hold it. Way up in the sky. Now down. Back up. Over there. Now over here. Get out the way.
See, now.
And then, you know what? That's better than 90% of the other commentators.
That's right.
99% of the better. That's, badminton is like stuff in the backyard.
Yeah.
Except these guys.
Oh, my Lord.
Hit that thing hard.
No, this badminton is like watching tennis.
Yeah.
In fact, it reminds me the first time I ever saw really professional softball. I mean, big-time softball. And I watched the underhanded pitch, and I thought, that looks every bit as fast as throwing a baseball. And I was really surprised by that because, when I played softball as a kid, they tossed it, they lobbed it.
Yeah.
Nice and high. It was so easy to hit. Hence, the ball is bigger, the pitch is a nice, easy lob. And I thought this is basically baseball for people who can't play baseball, is what I figured.
I want Snoop Dogg to do the commentary on synchronized swimming.
Oh, my God. That would be just absolutely brilliant. Especially,
you should do everything. Just do all the sports.
Well, what got me, though, is when he was walking in with the Olympic torch, I'm thinking, if you're going to hand an Olympic torch to Snoop Dogg, make sure it's not shaped like that.
Yeah, you don't want to hit on it or anything.
No, because we were all kind of thinking the same thing, weren't we?
It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah,
it's all good.
I still got to wonder, though. I know they love to bring their celebrities in and so on, but who thought, hey, let's get Snoop Dogg?
Somebody did, and if he does that, I think it's going to turn out okay.
Oh, no, I think it's turning out just fine. I think he's doing a great job, and he's making it unusual fun. I mean, you can bring in the professional sports commentators, but we've all heard those guys. So
and what else do you have to say about badminton anyway?
Yeah, really.
I mean, points, he smashed it.
Yeah, he hit it.
Nice return.
I liked at the end of it. Get out the way.
Yeah, get out the way, yeah. All righty, the State AA American Legion Baseball Tournament moves along today in Casper. In yesterday's first round, Sheridan defeated Laramie 3-1. The Cheyenne Sixers, the defending state champions, over Rock Springs 14-4. The Gillette Rough Riders beat the Cheyenne Hawks 9-2, and the Casper Oilers over the Jackson Giants 12-2. So today at 10 a.m. in a loser-out game, Laramie will take on Rock Springs. The other loser-out game today will be the Cheyenne Hawks versus Jackson at 1 p.m. Then in the winners bracket at 4 p.m., Sheridan will meet Cheyenne. And at 7 o'clock, Casper will meet Gillette, also in a winners bracket game. The AA Legion All-State team was announced. Trig Behrens and Saxton Smith from Casper made first-team All-State. Braden Pearson, Hayden Swain, Mason Tafoya, and Corey Williams from the Cheyenne Sixers. Also All-State selections. Brandon Chavez and Ben Malone from Laramie also making All-State. And Cheyenne Hawks manager Brad Barker was named the AA Manager of the Year. The State A Legion Baseball Tournament moves along today. In yesterday's action, Casper defeated Torrington 10-5, so Torrington was eliminated. Lovell beat Evanston 9-5, so Evanston was eliminated. And Powell, the defending state champion and the tournament favorite, crushed Cody 17-2. So today, Lovell and Cody will play at 1 o'clock, and then Powell will take on Casper at 4 o'clock. The state championship game is tomorrow at 11 a.m., and the if necessary game will be at 2 in the afternoon tomorrow up in Powell. The State B Legion tournament concluded yesterday in Torrington. Casper defeated Powell for the championship 12-6. In football, former Denver Bronco general manager and all-star quarterback John Elway was on a podcast with Barstool Sports, and he obviously came up with the obvious. He said his biggest mistake in his tenure as running the club was not drafting Wyoming's Josh Allen when he had a chance. He had the number 5 pick in 2018, and instead of taking Josh Allen, he took Bradley Chubb, a linebacker out of North Carolina State, who ended up being traded to Miami. The Elway and the Broncos had a franchise quarterback at their fingertips and passed. Elway also drafted quarterback Paxton Lynch from Memphis in 2016, and he was a bust. It is no wonder why the Broncos have not made the playoffs since 2015, and they've had 13 quarterbacks since Peyton Manning retired, because they had a chance at Josh Allen and let it slip away. And that's what John Elway will be remembered, because that's why the Broncos are going south.
And nobody would have, well, no, I was about to say no one would remember that if he hadn't opened up his mouth. But
everybody knows.
You knew this.
This is not news.
Right, all right. Mandy May is in Casper. She wants to know, when you go out of state, Frank, to some game, do you have a press pass you can show to get in?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. How does that? Okay.
It depends which games I'm going to.
Yeah. But no, Frank has a legit press pass. He can get into things.
Yes, I have to apply for it. Now, they have to approve,
sure.
and
But mainly, he's not in there to get in at the game. He wants to get at the snacks, just so you know, Mandy.
Oh, among other
things, yeah. And the executive washroom?
Sure. That too,
yeah. Thank
Free
you.
Food, yeah.
Coming up on some local business we have to take care of. We're going to roll into news time. We could have Terry Winter, who is a candidate for county commission in one of our counties here in Wyoming, coming up in just a few minutes. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Day.
Six at a time. It's a Tuesday. My name is Glenn Woods. So take a moment to talk to one of our local candidates, which, by the way, if you are a local candidate here in the state of Wyoming, it doesn't matter where you are, you can get on this program and talk about your candidacy so people know that you're out there. Terry Winter is running for county commissioner, and so people know which county is that?
Natrona County.
Natrona County. And we were talking about this during the news and information break there. You're how old?
I'm 77 years old.
And 77 years old, and how many committees and other things do you do?
Well, I'm on about 6 different boards around town, around the county. I'm on city plan. Right now I'm on city planning, the Old Yellowstone District. I'm on the board of the Kiwanis Club, Skyline Towers, Serve Wyoming, the RSVP Advisory Board.
Yeah.
I just enjoy being active.
Right.
And I've been all my life, I've been active in this community, scouting, rather, JCs. I just been active, and that's what it's all about, volunteerism, if you ask me.
So you definitely know the community then, and that keeps you, as we were saying.
And the county. I know the county, because I was a county commissioner for some time, but it was 10 years ago.
Right.
So you can't blame me and what's been going on the last 10 years, believe.
Nothing to do with you.
That's all in fun.
So, okay, why get back into the county commission after all this time, other than you want to stay out of the house?
Well, my wife says, Terry, don't you have someplace to go?
I see, yeah.
No, so I, for 10 years, I've been going down there and sitting in the county commissioner's room, watching them. Once in a while, I get up and speak my mind to them. I know what's going on. Some of the big issues right now, of course, are when I talk to people are naturally the property taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, a gravel pit. And you was at that one meeting.
Oh, yeah.
You emceed that one meeting
Right.
I was at. And, of course, the wind towers.
Right.
And every once in a while, people bring up the hospital.
Yeah.
Why did the county commissioner sell the hospital off for this?
All right, so let's go through some of those then. Property taxes, what would you like to do?
Well, the property taxes, I'll tell you what, it's been such a hot item lately, and the legislators, there's not much the county commissioners can do about it. Although they hear, if you protest your property taxes, it goes to the county commissioners, to the Board of Equalization, the county commissioners, and they look it over. And, well, first of all, the assessor gets involved too.
Right.
And then the county commissioners, they look it over. And let's say if there's mistakes, like they say you have a 3-car garage, you only have a 2-car garage. Or they say you have 4 bedrooms and you only have 2 bedrooms. Stuff like that happens. And then the county commissioners can bring down your taxes because, they made a mistake. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping, I know the state legislature has been working on this thing for probably 4 years now. So everybody's hot and bothered about their taxes, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. My taxes went way up.
Yeah.
And I've heard of a new house being built across the street from an older house. Let's say the older house is 40, 45 years old, but because across the street's a new house is going up. So the older house, their property taxes go up. It's just not right, Glenn.
Okay.
It isn't right.
So well, you can't do much as a county commissioner, but what can you do? Work with the legislators then? Or?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
The county has, of course, you work with your legislators. And the county also or the state of Wyoming, the County Commissioners Association, they have 3 meetings a year. And one of the meetings is in Cheyenne during the legislature. And there you go down there, you meet with your local legislators, and you meet with your other legislators from around the state and see what bills are being presented, what's on their mind, they want to hear what's on your mind, and then hopefully you can come to agreement. And sometimes what you want gets passed, and sometimes it doesn't. That's the name of the game.
Okay.
And then the gravel pits,
right.
Up on Coates Road. That's a big, big issue. And I'm the only candidate that I know of. I've been to all those meetings. I went Sunday to that at the Frontier. They had a little get-together. However, I was a little late. I have to admit that because I had other things going on. But I'm the only candidate that I know of that actually stood up and said, if I'm lucky enough to be elected county commissioner, I will not support a conditional use permit. I've said that several times at different meetings. And, it's a state section of land. And they're doing everything right, the people that want to put that pit in there, as far as the rules and regulations going. However, I don't think they realized in Cheyenne when they signed off on this deal there's houses, there's roads up there, there's a lot of people that live up there. It's a beautiful area, and I don't blame those people at all. When you have 17,000 signatures, and you can get another 17,000, it's just a matter of time knocking on doors. I don't blame them at all. There's gravel other places. I just wish the two parties could somehow, through an independent party, maybe sit down with them and come to a conclusion on this thing so everybody's happy. So prison, logistics, that's the name of the company, they're happy, and the people up there are happy. But the people up there, I don't blame them one bit for not wanting that gravel pit. The wind, the dust, the heavy vehicles, trucks on the road right next, not too far from the houses, the water wells, impossible. I don't know if they're going to do any blasting up there or not, but it's such a pristine area. And I know I'm not for it at all.
Right.
And then the wind towers. I went to a meeting one night a couple years ago. I stood in the back for 5 hours because there was no place to sit down. Thank God they had a wall back there that I could lean towards. But anyway, there's 50-some wind towers going out here north of town. The county planning the planners, voted against it. The county airport board voted against it. And what does the county commissioners do? They turn around and vote for it. Now, there's a couple running for county commissioners that were there at the time. However, one candidate that I know really didn't vote for it. He just said he didn't have enough information. So he just kind of not voted. But those wind towers, now I understand there is some new kind of wind towers. I saw it on some documentary the other day, but I don't think it's perfected yet. They're only about 6 foot tall.
Yeah, and they're a circular thing.
Yeah,
they're
they're
not
a
a
circular
turbine
thing.
blade or anything like that.
Now that I don't think many people would mind.
Yeah.
I don't think many people
But
would
that's
mind
not what
that.
they want to put in there.
Yeah, because it's, you can't see them. I mean, here we are, oil and gas county or state, and we're letting these wind towers take over our scenery and everything else. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
Oil and gas, we want to promote oil and gas and coal and some other minerals, and we're letting these wind towers just ruin our... that's what's beautiful. One thing that's beautiful about Wyoming is our beautiful scenery, our mountains, lakes, whatever.
Do you know who's in charge of the ones that are right over the highway from our radio studios here downtown area? And they haven't moved in a long time. I've never seen them turn. Is that a county thing?
That's Chevron.
Yeah.
Now, I have to admit, I hate to say this, but 20 years ago I was involved. Those were the first wind towers that came to this area. And I was a county commissioner then. I went to several meetings. Half the people wanted them. Oh, no, more than half did not want them. But some didn't care one way or the other. But anyway, all that land that Texaco, Chevron was, Texaco was bought out by Chevron. All that land is contaminated on both sides of the river. And all they could do is put up those 9 wind towers. But today they are not working. They haven't been working for some time. And I want to get those things down. Someplace in that contract, like I said, it's been almost 20 years ago, someplace in that contract that says if they're not in use, they must tear them down. I went to the county attorney's office and asked Heather, and she said she'd look it up. And I stood before the county commissioners here a couple weeks ago and mentioned that to the county commissioners. Well, so they know that I'm looking into it at least, and I hope they're looking into it. So that will be one of my first priorities when I get to be a county commissioner. Here's hoping.
Yeah.
To take those things down, help make sure they're down, because they're sitting there, they're ugly. They're ugly.
Yeah, right.
They're ugly. So. No, I have the experience, Glenn, and I want to get back in there. I'm a people person. I talk to people. They can always get a hold of me. I'm all over this town and this
How
county.
do they get a hold of you so they can ask you some more questions?
Yeah.
How do they do that?
How do they get a hold of me?
Yeah.
Well, Terry Wingerter at Brezhnev, the old TV company, .net. Okay. Terry Wingerter at Brezhnev.net.
Okay.
Is my email.
Anytime, and good luck with your campaign.
Well, thank you, Glenn. This was exciting to get on here.
It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Sure, this show is sustainable. We sequester all gas emissions to one room. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods, live on AM 1030 and FM 95.1, weekdays at 6.
In Trump County, but we've had other political figures running for various offices from all over the state of Wyoming. So because this program is on multiple radio stations around the state, and it's called Wake Up Wyoming, if you're running for a political office, doesn't matter what level, call Miss Mary, 888-97-WOODS, the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. You can just go ahead and give her your name and information, and she'll work out with you how to get you on the program, and then you can go ahead and just make your pitch before we get, especially... We're getting real close here to primary time, so you probably want to get that interview in. Just give us a call. We'll squeeze it in somewhere. Okay, finally reaching the most dangerous time of this radio program, which is open phones.
Warning.
Wake Up Wyoming is about to enter daily open phones. This means that anyone will be allowed to call in and talk about anything. I mean, imagine if we actually allowed you on air to say anything you wanted. Scary, right? Well, we're just that brand of crazy. If you are offended by what other people think, then maybe you want to tune out right about now. Just saying. If you should choose to call, just remember, the more funny and interesting you are, the longer Glenn will keep you on the line. Obnoxious jerks will be hung up on. Dave, all right, strap in, and let's do this thing.
888-97, what's the phone number? That's 888-97-WOODS. Talk about what I'm talking about. Change the subject. Fine by me. Ladies and gentlemen, your favorite song.
Well, I like guns. I like the way they look. I like the shiny steel and the polished wood. I don't care if they're big or small. If they're for sale, well, hell, I want them all. I like guns. I like guns. I like guns.
I play this one only because it's a knife attack, not a gun attack. If you're listening to that and going, huh? Well, hang on. Here's the story. Now, in the story, they always bring in Taylor Swift. And the reason they do that is it's a theme party that was a birthday party, but it was Taylor Swift themed. Okay, I don't think Taylor Swift has anything to do with this, so I don't want to drag her name into it. So let's just take her out of it. Because I say it because that's what you're going to see in the headlines. It has nothing to do with her. This has to do with a party that was going on. Now, some time ago, the UK did all they could to get the guns out of the hands of their citizens. It's not that you can't own one, but good luck owning one, and only certain kinds, and it's heavily permitted and so on. So you would think, since it's pretty much impossible to get any kind of gun, then violent deaths would have pretty much disappeared in the UK. But instead, the murder rate went up, not down. And in most cases, people started stabbing each other. They even tried doing things like putting up knife drop boxes. Just turn in your knife, as if the knife was the problem, and the knife's not the problem. All right, here's the story. A major incident was declared at a children's hospital in the UK after a knifeman, not a gunman, a knifeman. How about just a crazy person? See, I don't care what weapon he picked up, what he chose to use as a weapon. I don't care. Call him a gunman or a knifeman, doesn't matter to me. But all right, he launched an attack at a children's summer holiday party. Police were called to and it talks about the address, Monday morning. Police have charged a 17-year-old male suspect with murder and attempted murder. While it was originally thought that one child had been killed in the mass stabbing attack, police revealed Monday evening that 2 children have now died from stab wounds. Further, 9 or other children, 6 of whom remain in critical condition, were injured. So 9 injured altogether, and then 2 more have died. So the chief constable praised 2 adults who were wounded in the attack. They sustained injuries trying to stop the guy with the knife. One woman told the press this evening that officers arriving at the scene were shocked to find multiple people, many of whom were children, had been subject to ferocious attacks and suffering many injuries. The officers continue, I understand that the children were attending and it talks about a dance party, when a man armed with a knife walked in and just started stabbing people. Now, this is not the first time we've heard about something like this, right? Which goes back to what I originally said. For those people who want to get rid of guns, you're not going to solve anything. This is not the first time I reported a mass stabbing. I've reported mass stabbings all over the world. I've also reported people who've rented trucks and driven them through crowds, done it with cars too. People who make homemade bombs. And on it goes. As soon as when the assassination attempt against Trump had happened, right away there was a Democrat. See, we have to ban that AR-15. Don't forget, this guy had bomb-making material too. So you can take one weapon away, and all they're going to do is pick up a different weapon, because it wasn't the weapon that caused the incident. It was the person. And so you have to deal with the person. So what we need to do here is figure out Why did this person want to do this? Were there any warning signs in advance? You know the drill. We've been through this before. Now, if this had been a gun attack, I would be sitting here saying, but that's not possible. You can't have an attack with a gun in the UK, not after they banned all sorts of guns. But again, banning the guns in the UK as they did just led to more knife attacks like you see here. And if you ban knives, then crazy people are just going to pick up something else because they're crazy people. This is what they do. Okay. Don't try to get rid of the tool that they use. That's not going to solve your problem, obviously, as demonstrated by this story here. All right, coming up on 8:30, local news coming away after a local news update on your weather forecast. You and I get back into it again. 888-97-WOODS is the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. You can talk about what I'm talking about. You can change the subject. Fine by me. I'll just kind of roll with it. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Covering world-ending catastrophes for years to come. It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Find content, chat live, and listen on demand on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app.
8:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. All right, phones are open, and you can change the subject if you want. That's fine by me. 888-97-WOODS, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. Another Cowboys Day Daily article. Department of Defense backs away from pushing lab-grown meat on U.S. military. Now, just so you know, when it comes to lab-grown meat, it's not the same. Remember when they started doing the Impossible burgers, stuff like that? That was not lab-grown meat. That was using all sorts of other stuff, to make something that was supposed to look like meat and taste like meat, give you all the protein and nutrients, but it wasn't meat. And yet when I take a look at everything that goes into that, it's not better for the environment and it's not healthier for you. And it certainly is more expensive, too, so I don't see the point of it. All right. Now, lab-grown meat, their idea was just to basically take some muscle tissue and grow it. Yeah, instead of having an animal attached to it. And if you're wondering, ew, and you're thinking Frankenstein and so on, they can actually do that in a pretty safe way, but I still don't like the idea. I want it to be an animal. I like going the natural way on this thing. So give me just beef from an animal, the real thing. But all right, here's the story. People in the military won't have to eat lab-grown meat anytime soon, after all. Yeah, because those MREs are so much better for you. According to an announcement from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, U.S. Department of Defense put out a public call in May requesting proposals for, here we go, here's the buzzwords again, sustainable food and materials. Oh, God. To reduce emissions related to military operations. Once again, stop this. You're the military. Considering what the military's job is, you're going to create massive emissions. Okay. I like the way what Limbaugh did not make this up, but Limbaugh used this a lot. Rush Limbaugh did. The purpose of the military is to kill people and break things. That's what they do in order to win. And you do that by whatever means necessary. You don't go ahead and go into a conflict thinking, but let's make sure our carbon footprint's low. All right, so the U.S. Department of Defense did this. The most recent appropriations bill had up to $500 million dedicated to that aim, which included developing lab-grown meat under a public-private biomanufacturing coalition called BioMade. Once again, these companies don't exist unless there's government subsidies. According to the Department of Defense document announcing requests for proposal projects could include things like production of nutrient-dense military rations via fermentation using carbon feedstock known as C1, food production, and novel cell culture methods like cultivated meat proteins. An American military fueled by anything but real American meat didn't sit well with U.S. producers, however. Quote, "We absolutely went ballistic," said the NCBA president and Wyoming rancher, Mark Elsey, told Cowboy State Daily. "We just thought it was a terrible idea to use veterans as lab rats in a meat experiment. Laboratory-grown meat also isn't yet tested as a food product." He says they used undisclosed combinations of chemicals and bioreactors, and they used terminal cattle cells, muscle cells, and that they probably will get from somebody else's genetics without any intellectual property reimbursement. So you see there's problems right there. Okay. He also wants to see health and safety studies on lab-grown meats before they're made available to the general public. He said, "We don't know anything about the long-term, even short-term effects of lab-grown meat. They won't release the chemicals they use to make it because they're calling it proprietary information. We want to make sure that what goes out to consumers, well, consumers know exactly what they're getting." Not only that, he said lab-grown meat uses more energy to produce and has a much higher carbon footprint, if that's what they're worried about, than raising beef the old-fashioned way on a ranch, like here in Wyoming. It takes 20 to 25 times the energy and resources to produce the meat that way, rather than just letting a cow go out there and graze. So he says it's a crazy argument. All right, so anyway, troops are grateful, cattle ranchers, and veteran Tyler Lindholm, who's up there in the Sundance area, was among those cheering the news that the laboratory-grown meat won't be landing on the plates of military anytime soon. And I think this is another idea of making our military more woke and politically correct. We got to hit all the proper buzzwords, okay? The story goes on from Cowboy State for quite a bit longer with a lot of really interesting details if you want to do that. I have a better place to get meat for our military where you don't even have to have a cow. You can just open the porthole anytime you want.
Well, there's so much waste in the world, and finally it dawned on us, why go to the grocery store when we've got this portal in the backyard that's constantly spewing raw meat?
As soon as the meat comes flying out of the portal, we clean it, wait for it to stop ringing, and then we cook it.
Ever since the portal opened up and started spraying meat all over our backyard, we've gotten way more into cooking than we were before.
We make all kinds of meals with the portal meat. Gourmet meatballs, carne asada. Burgers are probably our favorite. When we used to get the meat from the grocery store, we never knew where it was coming from. It's really reassuring to know that the meat we eat now comes straight from the portal in our own backyard. No GMOs, no preservatives, no bones whatsoever. Just raw, fresh meat from an unidentifiable animal. And so much blood.
All right, just hungry.
The portal meat is fresh, it makes us dream in black and white, and it tastes great. And any meat we don't end up eating ourselves, we just chuck back into the portal. We're pretty much 100% waste-free now.
Yeah, just about.
Feels great. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's all this idea of being sustainable. You've got to be sustainable and worry about your carbon footprint. Again, what does the military do? If we send our military in someplace to a conflict, the last thing they should be worried about is, but what was our carbon footprint? No, it doesn't matter. If you're using the military, their carbon footprint doesn't matter. And quit tossing around sustainable. Tired of chicken and fish for dinner every single night? Looking for something different to feed the family? Well, don't worry. Now it's okay to eat bald eagle and whale. New from Sustainable Foods. Yes, fresh kills. From wind turbines out west in places like Wyoming to fresh whale kills off the Massachusetts coast. Our wind turbines kill these animals quickly and humanely. Yes, unlike clubbing a baby seal, these animals never knew what hit them. And because it's green energy, it's good for the planet and sustainable. Yes, eating bald eagle used to be illegal, and our motto used to be save the whales. But now, screw them. What could be better on the 4th of July than freshly roasted bald eagle, killed by an American wind turbine from Wyoming? And remember that big push to keep dolphins from getting caught up in tuna nets? Well, that's not okay. But whale kill from wind turbines, now that's green. Find sustainable alternate foods in your grocery store. There's plenty of room to put it in there since that fake meat and vegan food didn't work out.
If I manage to make it through this week, I would like my straitjacket to be black leather and my helmet to sparkle. Thank you.
The only show broadcasting from a bunker under Devil's Tower. Hey, it's cold down here. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods, 6 a.m. weekdays on AM 1030 and FM 95.1.
8:48 is the time. Off to the icebox we go. Frank Gambino's waiting by. Okay, Frank, I'm just going to call him out. You tell me which one is you. Okay. Where the hell is my phone?
Me.
Okay. How did I get that bruise?
Me.
Okay. That isn't my password either. What the hell?
Double me.
Okay. How do they expect me to read this small print?
Triple me.
Okay. Where did I put my glasses?
I know where they're at.
Okay.
90% of the time.
Okay. If it's one of those 10%, how long does it take you to find it?
Oh, that could be real bad, yeah.
I don't care if it doesn't look fashionable, it's comfortable.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, okay. Who the heck is calling me at 9:30 p.m.?
Sometimes that happens.
Okay. Does anyone even bother to say please and thank you anymore?
That's me.
Yeah. Geez, how do you throw your body out of whack just by sleeping wrong? We talked about that
yesterday.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, that could be me too, yeah.
Now, this probably isn't you. It is me, though. I really have to watch this. That scale can't be right.
I don't care anymore.
Yes, okay. You're a thin guy anyway.
I don't care anymore.
Okay. The hell is wrong with people nowadays?
Well, that's all day, every day.
And finally, why did I come into this room?
That does happen.
That a lot, like the room you're in right now.
I know that I'm supposed to be here, and I know what it does.
Yeah.
But sometimes I've walked in here, I'm like, this is not where I was supposed to go.
Yeah. Now, on that one, I have my thought bubble theory. You were sitting on the couch thinking about something in the kitchen. You got up and went into the kitchen, but you got up so fast, your thought, like a bubble, is just sort of floating over the couch where you left it.
Right.
If you go back and sit down on the couch where you were, you'll probably catch that bubble again and remember why you were going to go into the kitchen.
That makes sense.
That's my thought bubble theory. That's also why if you're walking down the street and you think of something, God, why would I ever think something like that? That's just weird. Look around for some, like, drug addict somewhere. He probably lost his thought bubble and you grazed it. That's how that happens.
I totally agree. The American Legion AA baseball tournament moves along today at Lansing Field in Casper with day number 2. In the first round from yesterday, Sheridan over Laramie 3-1. Defending champion Cheyenne, the post 6, beat Rock Springs 14-4. Gillette Rough Riders over the Cheyenne Hawks 9-2. And the Casper Oilers bombarded the Jackson Giants 12-2. So today at 10 a.m., Laramie will be in a loser-out game versus Rock Springs. Cheyenne Hawks in a loser-out game versus Jackson at 1. Sheridan and the Cheyenne Sixers at 4 p.m. from the winner's bracket, and Casper and the Gillette Rough Riders at 7 p.m. at Lansing Field, also in the winner's bracket. The AA Legion All-State team was announced yesterday. For Casper, the Oilers, Trey Barons and Saxon Smith made All-State. For the Cheyenne Sixers, there are 4 players that are making the All-State team: Braden Pearson, Hayden Swain, Mason Tafoya, and Corey Williams. And Laramie had 2 players make All-State, Ben Malone and Brandon Chavez. And the manager of the year was Brad Barker from the Cheyenne Hawks. On the A side in Legion Baseball, their state tournament is in Powell. Yesterday, the Casper Drillers eliminated Torrington 10-5, and Lovell eliminated Evanston 9-5. Powell, the tournament favorite, bombarded Cody 17-2. So today, Lovell and Cody will play at 1, and Powell will play Casper at 4 p.m. The championship game will be tomorrow at 11 a.m., and the if necessary game will be at 2 p.m. up in Powell. In the Legion B tournament, the Casper Wildcatters defeated Powell 12-6 to win that tournament that was held in Torrington. Also at the Paris Summer Olympics, the U.S. men's gymnastic team earned the bronze medal. That's a big step for them. The last time they medaled was 2008. So far, the U.S. has 20 medals, 3 golds, 8 silvers, and 9 bronze. And that's it in sports.
And on the other hand, the U.S. ladies gymnastic team is just killing it.
Yeah, that's Simone Biles. She's amazing.
Lord,
she had tweaked her calf in the warm-up, yet she was in all the individual events yesterday, and they'll win the team. They're the favorite to win the team. She could win gold medal after gold medal after gold medal. This is the lady, by the way, in the Tokyo Olympics who was ready for the finals and said, I'm not going to compete because she had a case of the twisties. And this is kind of like... It's like the yips in golf. You just kind of get nervous and then you lose your spatial awareness. So it can be very dangerous in gymnastics,
Yeah.
And she's the best gymnast in the world right now. So she's got, a lot of eyes will be on her. And the TV ratings for gymnastics are through the roof.
That, like I've told you when this whole thing started, that's my favorite event. Nice thing is, if I can't catch it live, well, it's all over social media and so on. I can go back and catch it again. And I've been watching her over and over again. She's just amazing.
Fantastic.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. Going to roll into news time after that. National, local update on the weather forecast. You and I get back into it again. Open phones continue. 888-97 Woods, 888-97 WOODS. Wake Up Wyoming. The time it's Wake Up Wyoming. I just realized how horrible of a person I am. I'll explain. You're going to love it.
Today's show is sponsored by Roadkill Frozen Dinners. Just as fresh as when you creamed them with your truck the first time. And now with Armadillo Bites.
In fact, those Armadillo Bites are great. It kind of relates to what you just heard right there.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
So I just thought a moment ago of a perfect idea for a restaurant chain that would save us a whole ton of money. What we'll do is we'll set up some restaurants right underneath wind farms. Can you picture the commercial for this now? That's what I want to write up the commercial for this. So in the commercial, somebody will go into the restaurant and say, hey, what's on the menu today? And you'll hear a bird get thwacked by a wind turbine. You'll hear it falling, screaming all the way down, and it'll go plop right next to the customer. Well, there's that. So, no, I think it'll be perfect for environmentalists out there, those who think that their wind turbines are clean and green and good for the environment, all this kind of stuff. Just have a whole chain of restaurants open up underneath wind turbines. As the birds fall from the sky, we'll go ahead and roast them up fresh. Oh, yeah, this is going to be good. I'll think about writing this up tonight. We'll see if I can get it done by the end of this week. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the Olympics where the green police have utterly failed.
Okay, so it's 3708, paper or plastic?
Plastic. That's the magic word. Green police. You picked the wrong day to mess with the ecosystem, plastic boy.
Battery!
Let's go. Take the house. Come on. Put the rind down. Sir, that's a compost infraction.
Did you install these bulbs?
Oh. Tragedy strikes tonight where a man has just been arrested for possession of an incandescent light bulb.
What do you guys think about plastic bottles now?
The water setting is at 105. Yeah.
You got a TDI here? Clean diesel.
You're good to go, sir.
Good afternoon, officers. Are those foam cups you're drinking from?
Yeah.
Please step out of the car and put them on the hood.
So, okay, here's in the Olympics. I told you they decided to go ahead and make it as green as possible. Of course, the sustainable green, whatever that was going to be, including not having air conditioning in the buildings in the Olympic Village where the athletes were going to stay. In which case, the athletes just brought their own air conditioning units, shoved them into the windows, and plugged them in. So there goes that. Headline, 2024 Olympic sees eco-friendly goals face accusations of greenwashing. In other words, it's fake green. This is like accounting practices where they shuffle the money around, shuffle the numbers, keep extra books off to the side. You'll see what I mean as I read this. Paris 2024 Summer Olympics have been promoted as the most eco-friendly games ever. Whenever experts are raising concerns about their effectiveness of these sustainability commitments, they're being called greenwashing. Paris organizers have set a goal to cut in half the carbon emissions of this year's games compared to previous Olympic, like Rio de Janeiro and London. To achieve this, they are investing over $16 million in carbon credits to offset the emissions generated during the events. This involves funding climate-friendly projects worldwide to compensate the pollution in Paris. Now, I've talked about, I'll bring it back up as a topic for those who missed it, but I talked about carbon credits and where exactly that goes to. It is a complete fraud. If you're worried about your carbon, and you shouldn't be worried about your carbon footprint. I'm proud of what I have, and I would like to make my carbon footprint bigger because it's good for the planet. CO2 is not a pollutant. It's necessary. It's good for the planet. But for those people who worry about it, well, I want the lowest carbon footprint, but you can't figure out how to do it, well, buy a carbon credit, right? And then when you find out where that money goes, it really doesn't go toward anything that's saving the planet. It's a fraud. Okay, the story says, and this is a quote, as climate change accelerates, the game's response to it must be to do the same, says the director of sustainability. The Paris 2024 organizers are stepping up to the challenge, and they're doing so by focusing first and foremost on the core part by addressing cutting emissions, which they haven't done. But all right, some of these credit-generating projects have faced scrutiny from groups that call themselves environmental watchdogs over the legitimacy of their claimed benefits. So organizations like Earth Day and Carbon Market Watch have questioned the transparency of the Olympics emissions and their assessment as to whether the purchase of carbon credits does anything to balance the pollution of the event. Quote, through commendable, the Paris 2024 climate strategies aim to minimize the event's carbon footprint is incomplete and falls short of achieving transparency. That's what they say. I say not just achieving transparency, they haven't achieved anything at all. The footprint's as big as before. So, in addition to carbon credits, the game aims to meet a 100% renewable energy goal. But you see, none of their energy came through wind and solar for the Olympics. Okay, what that means is they will use renewable energy certificates, okay, to buy energy from wind and solar somewhere else at some other time. but they haven't done it for the games here. The New Climate Institute noted that this practice can lead to significant misrepresentation of reported energy emissions for the... Okay, so you see what's happening here. They haven't done anything. Well, we'll go ahead and purchase carbon credits, and we'll buy some electricity from wind turbines later. There, you see? We've reached our goals. Which is why I tell you guys that this program is as sustainable and green as it gets. Think about it. As I've explained my job, it's a radio studio, so the walls are padded, right? Yeah, for sound reflectivity. It deadens the sound in here, which is why I tell people that for a living, I sit in a padded room and I talk to myself. And when you call the show, you are the voices in my head. See how this works? But that also means that all of the CO2 leaving my mouth, and God, you don't want to know where else, is trapped in the room. That is carbon sequestration right there. That makes this a sustainable endeavor. Also, I'm into recycling. Sometimes I tell you the same stories over and over again to make sure everybody heard it. But a lot of times the funny bits that I play are bits that I played for you before. So you see, I'm recycling. There. This show is green, clean, and sustainable. And right outside, across the highway from where I am, there's a whole row of wind turbines. They don't work. They haven't turned in years. Someone's supposed to take them down. They're broken. But there they are, by God. So don't tell me that we're not getting energy from the right places. All right, now about my idea, I want to start a chain of restaurants underneath wind farms. Go to the middle of a wind farm and just go ahead and put a restaurant there. And we'll serve whatever falls out of the sky. Tumbleweed in Lance Creek, Wyoming. Restaurant of the Turbines. Yes. And we got to think of Tumbleweed of a name for this restaurant. Manitic and Casper would be a great idea. Think about the franchising opportunities. Millions of locations. Oh, yeah. Every time they open up a new wind farm, we get to put up a new restaurant. I mean, why the hell not?
Is 4 a lot? Well, it depends on the context. Dollars? No. Murders? Yes.
Well, that image is going to stick with you all day. Local and mobile, across Wyoming and beyond, with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030, K2 Radio.
9:22 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Okay, I'm going to give you a gift. You're going to love this one. But first, a word salad.
Ladies and gentlemen, words of wisdom from Kamala Harris.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be unburdened by what has been.
There are those who are unable to see what can be, but there are many more who are able to see what can be unburdened by what has been.
Gosh, I already have a headache. So, here's what happened. Venezuela had elections. Sure they did. United States Secretary of State joined just about every other nation on the planet in accusing Maduro and his government in Venezuela of rigging the presidential election this week. Blinken was very clear, in a diplomatic speak at least, that the results were crooked, completely cooked. Almost everybody in the world agrees, even exit polls showed, that the opposition scored massive victories. There's videos of thugs running around assaulting voters and stealing ballot boxes. And clearly, early returns showed massive losses for Maduro, even the later returns. Then the government declared that Maduro won, and of course everybody said fraud. It was obviously not true that Maduro had won, and Venezuelans are now expressing their unhappiness in the only way possible, tearing down Maduro posters and billboards and filling the streets. It's basically riots again. Up comes our vice president, who is now running for president of the United States. And she puts out on X, which I still have a hard time saying, so it's Twitter. She writes, the United States stands with the people of Venezuela who expressed their voice in today's historic presidential election. The will of the Venezuelan people must be respected. Despite the many challenges, we will continue to work toward a more diplomatic, prosperous, and secure what? Okay. So far, have you figured out what she's saying? We'll continue to work toward a more diplomatic, prosperous, and secure future for the people of Venezuela. That's what she put up. Nothing about the obvious votes being rigged. Just basically whitewashed statements that really didn't say anything about standing with Venezuelan people after their will was expressed in the election. In fact, it sure looks like she's endorsing the Maduro win. I'm not sure if she is or not. Kind of looks like she is. I'm looking at a video here of the protests on the street right now. People have poured out onto the street, and it's chaos in Venezuela, as you might imagine, as people have poured out to protest. And I'd like, frankly, them to overthrow Maduro. We'll see what happens there. Okay. Let's see. Venezuela, the story says, is a communist hellhole. It has seen over 6 million people pick up and leave. Many of them quite a few moved to the United States here to escape economic and political disaster. This is a lot like when we take a look at, North Korea, for example. I like pointing out there's only one fat man in North Korea. And the same goes for Venezuela, where everybody else is starving. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly what Harris was trying to say in that statement. I mean, it almost sounds like she is supporting Maduro, but she doesn't come right out and say that. I'm not sure exactly what she said. It was a non-statement statement, but that's what you get from word salads.
Ladies and gentlemen, words of wisdom from Kamala Harris.
Remember Venn diagrams, those 3 circles? Right. And then let's just see where they overlap. You will not be surprised because I have constructed a Venn diagram on this. Remember those 3 circles, how they overlap? I love Venn diagrams. So I just do. Whenever you're dealing with conflict, pull out a Venn diagram, right? And so, the 3 circles.
Yeah, okay, the 3 circles. I often have had a hard time, like for you Trump supporters out there, a lot of times when he's speaking, I have a hard time keeping up with what he's saying because he does this stream of consciousness speaking, which makes me go, what did he just say? Yeah. And there have been other people who have had a hard time speaking, too. Obama was a good speaker as long as he was on teleprompter. Get him off the teleprompter, he was just a mess. George W. Bush, I always called him verbally dyslexic because he would sort of mix things up now and then. One of the worst, though, was Biden. Especially recently, I liked during that debate when Trump said, at the end of a Biden sentence, he sort of trailed off and mumbled something. And Trump said, I'm not sure what the end of that sentence was, and I'm not sure he knows either. Harris is a completely different kind of beast.
Ladies and gentlemen, words of wisdom from Kamala Harris.
Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
Gosh, I am so glad that I'm going to put that away because if I play any more, you're going to get a headache if you haven't already. But just imagine that in the White House for 4 years. Oh, my Lord. I mean, what do you even do with that? And it's not so much that she lies, but she does do that, too. Doesn't even know what the truth is. And half the time, I don't even think she knows what she's saying. She was asked a question. She just needs to fill the airtime, and that's what she does by just tossing words into a big salad bowl, tossing them up, putting some dressing on, serving them to us, and expecting us to go, gosh, that was so wise. Coming up on local news, update on your weather forecast. After that, you and I get back into it. Open phones right now, 888-97-WOODS, 888-97-WOODS. Wake Up Wyoming.
today.
So many opinions, we had to build the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app to hold them all. Free download from AM 1030 K2 Radio.
9:36 the time. Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to Laramie to talk to Mike, who's been patiently hanging on. Morning, Mike. What you got?
Good. Well, I got two topics. One funny, one serious.
Okay.
Which one would you like first?
Let's do the serious one first and end on a good note.
Okay. You were talking earlier this morning about the housing problem in Denver with affordable housing.
Yeah.
And it's not just Denver. It's a lot of other places, including here. How come if there is such a demand for affordable housing, the builders haven't stepped forward to meet that demand? Why do they continue to build luxury apartments and these 6,000 square foot mini mansions instead of maybe putting like a 12 or 1,300 foot 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch house, maybe even a prefab house? If the demand is there's something wrong with the market.
Yeah, I guess I wonder, I don't know this, but I wonder if you build more smaller affordable housing, do you wind up with a bunch of people who are just going to wreck that affordable housing or not? I don't know the answer. I'd like to talk to people in the market there, but I've noticed in the past when more affordable housing was built, it was abused.
That could. It depends on who moves in. They're usually talking about people that are making like firemen, policemen, school teachers, auto mechanics.
Now,
that can't
those
afford.
people, I think they would take better care of it. So I think that's a really good question. I've often wondered that because over in Jackson, for example, you would think somebody would have just taken their property and built something really nice and affordable to house all of the workers there and be making a killing off of it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so there's something wrong with the market. I don't know what it is. Someone needs to look at that.
Okay.
On the funny side, the restaurants, they are under the wind turbines.
Yes.
I've got a couple of names for you.
Okay.
Since we're doing the Olympics in France, I've got a French name would be Chez Moulin, which means at the windmill.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
You're a touch of class.
Yeah, okay.
Or if you want to go British pub style, you could call it the Blade and Bird.
I like that one, too. See, that's going to be... It's not that we're going to have a tough time finding names. We're going to come up with so many good names, we're going to have to pick one.
Yeah, that's true. But that's a great idea.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to write this up as a bit and get it on the air as soon as I can.
Well, let me know how I can get a franchise.
All right. Thank you.
Especially if they do that one south of Laramie.
Yes, and you still need to get in on Band in California and Band in Colorado because those are going to be great stories.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay, Glenn.
All right. Thanks for calling. Mike, good morning.
Well, to piggyback on that conversation,
I
would love if on your wind farms restaurant idea, you put little kitties on the windmills and make them kind of like Ferris wheel at the park.
Yeah.
You can either have like little chairs for them to sit in, you know, and they're strapped in, or you can also have the ones who are daring and they stand on the things, you know, like those things at the circuses and stuff where you go around and around as you're going around on the Ferris wheel kind of thing.
Here's my...
So you're up and you're upside
so
down.
you want to go ahead and turn this whole thing into like an amusement park while I'm at it.
Yeah, and wouldn't the parents love it? I mean, they could have a nice night, quiet night out while their kids are
especially because the kid gets
kid
gets attached to a blade so he can go roundy round, and the blade goes all the way to the top, and then the wind stops. Now the kid's stuck up there.
And then the birds come too, and you know they can be all splattered and everything when they come back off the ride.
Great idea. I don't know why I didn't think about this a long time ago. Okay, I'm working on it, Mike.
Okay,
thank you. For those who don't know what we're talking about, if you just tuned in, I suddenly had this great idea. Since wind farms kill birds, I want to open up a chain of restaurants in the middle of wind farms. Whenever you see a wind farm, just put a chain restaurant there. We're still working on the name, although I thought Mike had some really great ideas. But, okay, so we put some restaurants under the wind farms. And then in the commercial for it, a customer comes in, hey, what's on the menu today? And you hear this thwack and a bird screeching, and it lands right next to the customer. Well, there's this. We can cook it up fresh for you, you see? Now, here's the next question, though. Should the restaurant chain only be powered by wind power? See, the problem there would be is as soon as the wind stops, whenever the wind stops, they're not going to be able to cook any food, right? Unless you want to go the other route with this and say that they cook everything on coal. That way they can cook any time. But see, then we also run into the problem of, do they have enough birds to feed their customers when the wind isn't blowing? So I guess the restaurant chain at this point, I'm thinking, can only be open when the wind is blowing. If the wind is not blowing, don't bother to pull in because they're not getting any fresh bird kill, right? And they can't cook it because there's no electricity. I'm thinking about that. I should have thought about this idea a long time ago, so I'm working on it here. And then once I get the idea all together, give me a couple of days to get all these ideas put together. And the more you guys have, the better. Just send them to me. We'll talk about it also tomorrow on here. And then the whole idea is to write a series of commercials to advertise the new restaurant chain, like you've heard with many other commercials on this program. Yeah, we can get a franchise going. I would say, especially in the liberal communities, but most liberal communities are pretty good at keeping wind turbines out of their neighborhood because, NIMBY. 9:42, wake up.
Listen to Glenn Woods anywhere you roam with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
Coming up on 9:48, off we go to the icebox. Frank Gambino's waiting by. So according to the story I have here, Frank, and this is based on a true story, punching and attacking grizzly bear in the face might work, but it's not recommended.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah.
He punched the bear in the face.
Yes. Well, bear's coming at him, and basically everything else that he tried to do to stop the bear didn't work. So as the bear got close, he literally balled up his fist and punched it right in the snout, directly in, which even for a bear has got us smart.
Where is this at now?
Let me see. Canada, Colombia.
Okay.
Yeah, British Columbia and Canada.
Why don't people just stay away from where bears are?
Yeah.
They own the place.
They kind of do, yeah. And this is considered trespassing by the bears, especially because in this case, you can't actually blame the bear at all. They turned the corner, there's a grizzly, and there's cubs. Now, what does Mama do?
Game over.
Yeah, that's it. Mama's just get away from my cubs. And, as the guy's trying to defend himself and get away from him, he has nothing left to do. So he just goes ahead and punches it. Now, on the other hand, you ever see people in the water with sharks, how they push sharks away?
I've seen that, yes.
Yeah, they did literally, as the shark's coming out, and they grab the shark's snout and they push it off to the side, and the shark swims in the other direction.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I've heard of
I wouldn't try that.
No. In fact, I'm with you like the bear.
Yeah.
There's sharks in there. I'm not going in there.
No, there's no reason to.
I'm not going to. The sharks own that place.
Yes, and you're just visiting.
I'm just visiting. So, and I wasn't invited. I don't recall getting a shark invitation saying, come on in and go ahead and swim with us. Please do.
Bears just don't like people. Unless you see them at... I just drove by, and I'm going to go by this next time. I'm going to go in. I was near... I went to Mount Rushmore over the weekend, and on the way, you go to Bear Country, USA.
Yeah.
They got bears there.
Sure. So
a lot of people were going in there to see the bears.
You can go there and stand, and you're perfectly safe watching the bears.
Yes, perfectly, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You can be within 5 feet of a bear, and it's not going to bother you.
No. Okay. There's certain other places, like when I was a kid growing up on that island, this is Florida, and some people were visiting from New Jersey, and there's a lake out back, and this kid from New Jersey looking at the lake going, wow, hey, let's go swimming. And I said, hey, let's not. Because there's gators all throughout that lake.
Yeah.
Now,
no.
How do you tell in Florida if a lake has a gator?
Well, they all do.
Yeah, the answer is
they all
take a look at it. Is there water there?
Gator in water.
Is the water wet?
Yes.
Okay, then there are gators in there, so don't. But here again, Frank, now, as far as I'm concerned, the alligators own the lake.
Yeah. And you're just visiting.
So you're just visiting, and you didn't get an invitation in the first place. So just don't do that. Now, I'm not sure if you can punch a gator in the snout.
I wouldn't try that
either. I'm not
either.
going to find out.
not at all. American Legion Baseball, the state AA tournament moving along today at Lansing Field in Casper. In today's games, Laramie will take on Rock Springs in a loser-out game at 10 this morning, and the Cheyenne Hawks will meet Jackson in a loser-out game at 1 p.m. this afternoon. Sheridan and the Cheyenne Sixers in a winner's bracket game at 4 p.m., and Casper will meet the Gillette Rough Riders at 7 p.m. So in yesterday's action, Sheridan beat Laramie 3-1. The Sixers over Rock Springs 14-4. Gillette over the Cheyenne Hawks 9-2, and Casper beat Jackson 12-2. The AA All-State teams were announced yesterday. For the Casper Oilers, Trigg Barons and Saxton Smith made All-State, and for the Cheyenne Sixers, Braden Pearson, Hayden Swain, Mason Tafoya, and Corey Williams were on that All-State team, and Ben Malone along with Brandon Chavez made the All-State team for Laramie. Brad Barker, the manager for the Cheyenne Hawks, was named the AA Manager of the Year. The State A Legion tournament moves along today in Powell. Today at 1 o'clock, Lovell will play Cody at 1 p.m., and then the Casper Drillers will take on Powell at 4 p.m. Yesterday, Casper eliminated Torrington 10-5, and Lovell eliminated Evanston 9-5. Powell, the tournament favorite, pounded Cody 17-2. At the State B Legion tournament in Torrington, the Casper Wildcatters, the state champions, they defeated Powell 12-6. And in football, the master of the obvious is former Bronco general manager John Elway. On a Barstool podcast, he says, yes, the biggest mistake I made when running the Broncos for over 10 years was not drafting Wyoming quarterback Josh Allen. He had the 5th pick in the 2018 draft, but instead took Bradley Chubb, the linebacker from North Carolina State, who was eventually traded to Miami. Elway was at the bowl game in Idaho watching Josh Allen play. Didn't realize that he had a franchise-type quarterback right at his fingertips. And then after that, well, the Broncos haven't even made the playoffs since 2015. And they've had 13 quarterbacks since Peyton Manning retired. That is what John Elway will be remembered for management-wise, because they have still never recovered from that after 2018, even before 2016.
So here's what people need to do. Hire him.
Yeah.
And do the opposite of what he says.
Right.
There you go. And you'll guarantee to have a winning team. There's no way you're going to lose after that.
He's not the only person who deserves blame in this thing.
Yes, yeah.
But that was a golden opportunity to straighten them out for a generation or more.
And think of all of the Wyoming fans that would have gone down, straight down to sea. Say, okay.
Nope.
No. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. National local update on the weather forecast. You and I get back into it again. I'll work on that bit for the wind turbines. It's not going to be done tomorrow, but I'll have it done this week. Maybe get some either just a funny bit or a commercial for the restaurant. I'm working on it. Thanks for your help. Keep sending ideas. Let's Wake Up Wyoming.